What is the spiritual dream meaning of crying?
Listen, what if the woman who gave the world its most beloved dream, the one about the yellow brick road, what if she spent her entire life ignoring the one message her own dreams were screaming at her? We're going to start with the story of Frances Ethel Gum, born back in 1922. Now, you know her as Judy Garland, and I want to be very clear. Her story isn't just some tragedy. No, it's the central warning of everything we're about to cover. Think about this. At just 13 years old, the studio system takes her, renames her, and starts pumping her full of amphetamines to stay thin and barbiturates just so she could sleep. 4 years later, she's 17, she sings Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and the whole world just falls in love with her. But while she's playing this girl dreaming of a world without pain, her real life, it was a managed nightmare. We're talking 5 marriages, multiple suicide attempts, bankruptcy, and it all ended when she was 47, an overdose, all alone.
So here's the bottom line, the point you cannot miss. The woman who sang about dreams, she died because she never, ever learned how to listen to her own. She was taught from the very beginning to just ignore them.
And let's be absolutely crystal clear about this. That story, it's not a metaphor. It is a warning for you.
Okay, so this brings everything right back to the real subject here, your inner world. And there are some questions you have to ask yourself. Right now.
All right, first question. What does it actually mean when you wake up and there are tears on your face, but you can't for the life of you remember why? You have no memory of the dream.
And what is your subconscious trying to hand you that your waking mind just refuses to hold? Maybe because it's too busy or too stressed, or, let's be honest, just too afraid.
So we need to reframe this whole thing. Crying in a dream, it is not weakness. It's not a breakdown. Think of it like this. It's your inner world performing emergency surgery on your soul. And that's a critical procedure, one you really can't afford to ignore.
And here's the thing about that procedure. You don't get to just opt out indefinitely. You can't just keep canceling the appointment. Because as we just saw with Judy Garland, the cost of ignoring the message, well, it's just way too high.
All right, so let's actually decode these dream tears, because this isn't just some vague theory. We are looking at a message that is recognized across so many different disciplines, really across worlds.
If you look across almost every major spiritual tradition, we're talking Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, indigenous spiritualities, even Kabbalah, tears are seen as sacred. They are not just some random biological event. They're a threshold, a doorway to a much deeper understanding.
And what's fascinating is how all these different fields point to the exact same truth. You look at it through the lens of relational psychology, it's an urgent cry for connection, maybe to yourself, to some truth, or to grief you haven't felt. Neurologically, your brain's emotional center is doing real, actual work while you sleep. From a cognitive standpoint, your mind is finally processing something that your waking life has pushed down, suppressed. And then, spiritually, well, these are tears of the soul, a kind of purification, a prayer, maybe even a prophecy. So all of this, it all builds to a final, absolutely critical choice. And this brings us right back to where we started, back to Judy Garland and the fatal trap that she was caught in. This is it. This is the trap that kills. Judy Garland would cry on stage, and what did the audience do? They applauded. They saw her raw, genuine emotion as entertainment, but it was never, ever just a performance. It was intelligence. It was raw data coming straight from her soul, telling her what was wrong. You cannot let that be your story. Do not treat your own deepest emotional signals like they're some kind of performance, not for others and not even for yourself.
So when you cry in a dream, remember this. Your soul is not performing. It's speaking. And so the only real question left is, will you listen? And maybe more importantly, will you act on what you hear before life gives you no other choice?
Part 2. All right, let's get one thing straight. Right now. You have to stop treating your dreams like they're just noise. Like random static your brain makes while you sleep. They're not. And that goes double for the dreams where you're crying. See, what's happening in your sleep, it's not just some random movie playing in your head. It's a direct message, a command really, from your psyche. These dreams aren't just asking for your attention, they are demanding you do something about it. Okay, so let's get into it. First up, the urgent alarms. Think of these as the spiritual equivalent of a fire alarm going off. These are the dreams you cannot, under any circumstances, just brush off when you wake up. You ever have that dream where you're crying, sobbing, but there's no sound? That right there, that's a huge red flag for emotional suppression. It's telling you that you're holding on to a grief so deep, so buried, that it literally has no voice. It's this desperate prayer turned inward on itself with absolutely nowhere to go. So what do? The directive is simple. You have to break the silence. Step 1, figure out where you're being silenced in your actual life. Is it someone else shutting you down, or are you doing it to yourself? Step 2, find a safe place, a container for that grief. We're talking a therapist, a journal, a friend who can actually listen. Because look, the silence, that's just the symptom. The cure, the real cure, is having that pain be seen. But, as serious as that is, it can get even more critical. There's another dream. And if you have this one, I'm not kidding, you need to treat it like a spiritual emergency. I'm talking about crying tears of blood. Yeah, in almost every spiritual tradition out there, this means one thing, a soul wound. It's a sign that a betrayal, a loss, or some act where you abandoned yourself has cut you so deep that your spirit is literally hemorrhaging. And the scariest part? You've probably been walking around telling everyone, including yourself, that you're fine. You're not fine. And listen to me. You do not just write about this in your journal and move on. No, the directive here is to act now. This is a spiritual 911. You need to get immediate, serious support. A trauma-focused therapist, an intensive spiritual retreat, or at the very least, a brutally honest conversation with someone you trust, like today. Think about it. If you were bleeding, you wouldn't wait. It's the exact same for your soul. Okay, but what happens when it's not you crying in the dream? What if you see someone else's tears? Well, those are what we call mirror dreams. That person crying, that's a reflection. It's a part of you that you've disowned, that you've pushed so far away you don't even recognize it anymore. So think about who it is. Is it a total stranger? That's probably your own emotion that you've refused to feel. Is it a little kid weeping? Whoa, that's pointing right to an original wound, something from way back. Or is it someone you actually know? You might have taken on their pain as your own. Every one of these figures is a messenger, and they're carrying the grief that you've refused to carry for yourself. And hey, if that figure is a child, you need to pay very close attention, because that is the absolute signature of an unresolved inner child wound, period. It's about some kind of abandonment, neglect, or shame from when you were little that never got healed. That crying child, that's you. And it's going to keep crying in your dreams until you finally turn around and listen. And don't fool yourself, dealing with this isn't some self-indulgent woo-woo thing. This is survival work. Why? Because unhealed inner children don't just stay children. They grow up into adults who blow up their relationships, who sabotage their own success, who literally cannot accept love. Because somewhere deep down, there's still that little kid who believes they were never worthy of it to begin with. Okay, so that was heavy. I know. We've covered the big, scary alarms. But here's the good news. Not all crying dreams are warnings. Some of them are actually signs of incredible release, of healing, of your spirit literally transforming. They mean your tears are finally doing their job. Let's talk about the healing dream. If you dream you're crying and you wake up feeling relief, like a weight has been lifted, that is the spiritual equivalent of a deep, full-body exhale. It means a cycle of grief is over. A wound is actually closing. It's your psyche giving you the green light to consciously let go. And what about this one? Crying and laughing at the same time. It's such a wild feeling, right? But what it means is incredible. It means integration. The part of you that's been in so much pain and the part of you that's a survivor, they're not at war anymore. They're making peace. You'll often see this dream pop up during huge life transitions, and it's a sign that you're becoming whole. Now, let's get to the rarest and honestly the most beautiful one of all, the alchemical dream. This is when your tears literally transform into something else, like light or water, or they grow into flowers. If you have this dream, it means your pain hasn't been wasted. Not a single drop. It's being converted, turned into purpose, into beauty, into your power. So if you get this dream, the message couldn't be clearer. This isn't a suggestion, it's your assignment. You're being called to create something, to be of service. Those transformed tears, that's your gift to give back to the world. So get to it. Write, paint, teach, advocate. Whatever it is, create something out of the wisdom that your pain gave you. And you know, there are a couple other healing dreams worth mentioning, like crying for no reason you can pinpoint, or crying in what feels like a sacred space. These are directives too. They're telling you to honor the grief that doesn't have a name and to feed that part of your soul that's just been starved. You don't have to figure it all out. You just have to honor it. So after all this, all these warnings, all these messages, all these assignments, there's one single thread that ties all of them together. It all comes down to one big question. Who is it that has been trying to tell you something so important for so long? It's you. It's always been you. The voice in your dreams, the one that's been pleading to be heard. That is your deepest, most authentic self. You know, your dreams might just be the last honest hour you have. So listen to them. Part 3. Look, this isn't about just understanding your dreams. This is about what you're going to do about them, starting right now, today. Because let's be real, reading about this stuff, it's not enough. We're going to translate what your dreams are screaming at you into real-world change. And here's the deal. You have to pick one of these practices, the one that fits you right now. All right, first up, for the intellectual woman, the one who needs the proof, the evidence. You trust data? Perfect. Let's give you some. So for the next 30 days, this is your new ritual. Every single morning, you write down these 3 things. That's it. At the end of the month, boom, you've got a diagnostic report from your own psyche. And believe me, the patterns won't lie. Look, your dreams are already keeping the records. The only question is, are you going to pay attention now, or are you going to wait until all that data piles up into a crisis you can't possibly ignore? Okay, now for the deeply spiritual woman. You already have a practice, you already pray or meditate. You know how to speak the language of the soul. So it's time to take that conversation a whole lot deeper. The next time you wake up from one of these dreams, don't just jump out of bed and rush into your day. No, you hold that feeling. You ask it, show me what this is for. And then you just listen. Seriously, for 10 minutes. This isn't about you talking at your spirit, it's about you finally receiving the message. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't ignore a text from someone you love, would you? Well, your spirit is messaging you every single night. Stop leaving it on red. All right, let's get to it. For the woman in a relationship who has that sinking feeling her dreams are about her partner, listen to me. You already know. You know. Now it's time to own it. So, the night after the next crying dream, you're going to open that door. You're going to say the words, I've been carrying something I haven't named out loud yet. This is not about starting a fight. It's about starting the truth. You've got a choice here, and it's stark, silence or truth. Because relationships fed on silence, they starve. Your dream is begging you to speak up before it's too late. And now for the woman who never cries. If you honestly can't remember the last time you cried while you were awake, you need to hear this. Your dream is crying for you because your body has forgotten how. And let's be clear, that is not strength. It's a system backup. It's an emergency alert. You've got to find a way to bypass that intellectual gatekeeper in your head. We're talking about somatic work here, getting into your body. It's about letting this emotion pass through you instead of letting it set up camp in your dreams every night. And your choice is urgent, and it is brutally simple. You either move this emotion with intention, or, trust me, your body will eventually move it by force. Okay, my creative women, the artists, the writers, the makers, listen up. Your crying dream didn't just dump a feeling on you, it handed you the raw material for your next great work. And you've got a deadline, 48 hours. Within 2 days, you have to create something. A sketch, a few lines of a song, one paragraph. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be made. This isn't about making your pain look pretty. No, this is about metabolizing it, taking it from inside and putting it out into the world. Because here's the urgent truth. Uncreated art becomes emotional debt. That dream was the first draft. Now go finish it. And what if you're already in therapy? Already doing the inner work? Well, for you, I have one simple, direct, non-negotiable directive. You walk into your next session and the first thing out of your mouth is, I want to tell you about a dream I had. Why? Because your dreams don't care about your ego's defenses. They are the ultimate shortcut. They show your therapist exactly where the wound is. Come on, you wouldn't ignore a rash that kept coming back for months, would you? So treat these recurring emotional dreams with the exact same seriousness. Finally, this is for the woman who takes care of everyone else, the caretaker, the fixer, the strong one. You are an expert at caring for someone in pain. You know exactly what to do. So the only real question is, will you finally do it for yourself? So here's your self-compassion audit. It's simple. Look at the dream and take one concrete action. Did you dream of being lonely? Then you need to reach out to someone. Was it grief? Take 1 hour to just be sad. Feeling depleted? Cancel one thing on your calendar, right now. The urgent truth you need to get is this. You deserve to be cared for, not just to be useful. You need to honor that now, while it's a warning in a dream and not a full-blown reality you're forced to deal with when you completely burn out. You know, we all know that song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Judy Garland sang her heart out, dreaming of that magical place, right? That escape where all your troubles just melt away. But there's a really painful truth behind it. See, the rainbow was never over her head. It was inside her all along. It was in the tears she was never taught it was okay to cry. It was in the grief she was never allowed to actually feel. The real power, the real magic, it was never in some fantasy land. It was inside the very emotions she spent her whole life trying to escape from. Your dreams, they're handing you something she never got. They're giving you a map, a direct path back to the parts of yourself you thought were gone forever. The directive couldn't be more simple. Do not throw it away.